Mom and Dad, are you ready?
Today's word is stupendous.
You need some encouragement.
Stupendous marriage encouragement.
You need some inspiration.
I have this picture of a battlefield and like you're on both sides of the battle fighting each other.
Start the battle again.
I'm going to stay at work.
I want to stay at home.
Yes, right.
You're listening to the Stupendous Marriage Show.
With our friends Stu and Lisa Gray.
Oh, yes, that word. Stupendous.
The Stupendous Marriage Show.
It's Stupendous Marriage Show. I'm Stu Gray.
Hey, I'm Lisa Gray.
Hey, glad you're here.
I'm glad you're here, honey. How are you feeling?
I had a rough night trying to sleep and not have a stomach that hurt and waking up several times and then sleeping until mid-morning because I didn't mean to, but yeah. So I'm here. I'm good. I'm feeling better than I was.
That's good. That's good. I felt so bad. I was like, oh, my honey didn't sleep. And I was like, shh. I mean, I knew nothing.
On the other hand, I knew we had a show we had to do. So I'm like, I gotta get better. We gotta do this.
That's good. We had a pretty crazy week in our house already because we had something pretty significant. I mean, like big time adult stuff happen.
I know there are only certain areas in your house that are sacred places, and these sacred places have now become more sacred because we got new toilets.
I know that probably sounds so trivial to people, and they're like, y'all crazy. But for us, when we bought our house about 3 years ago, these toilets that we had in here I could never get them clean. I mean, they were not cleanable.
Yes, our area has what they call hard water. And what that does to bowls of toilets is gross. And they were the original toilets that the original builders put in our house. So they were not pleasant.
Yes. And it was funny because last year or earlier this year, so we host a small group for our church, and our pastor actually said from the stage, and I know she was being funny, she said, so when you're hosting with your small group, make sure that you clean your toilet really well, and you don't have to do much else, but at least get your toilets clean.
I shot you a look like, oh no, does she know something? I mean, we do clean our toilets, but they look horrible in that area because they're old. Does she know something? Has someone said something? I felt all paranoid.
You did, and I was just laughing. I was like, oh my gosh, because they're clean. The rust part just won't come out. So for us to get 3 new toilets, I really felt like an adult. I mean, I was like, I've come into my adulthood because we went and got new toilets and we were excited about it. I guess that's the point. It's moved past like, I got a new radio, man, and I got a new car. I got new toilets. Woohoo!
We were adulting pretty hard, going to Home Depot and, finding the toilets. It was, they had to get them off the top rack because they weren't in the right place. And so it's like, go us.
Now, we did not install them. So,
Right,
it's not like we were taking them home to install ourselves. We hired somebody because we know our skill set or lack of.
Limited.
Yes. So it's been a pretty good week in our house so far. We hope you guys are having a good week. And we've got an email coming up next.
Congratulations, you've got mail.
We talk a lot about you sending us an email, but we'd like to send you an email too. If you want to be encouraged in your marriage, every week I send out a Saturday Reads email of things that I found about marriage and life and family and sometimes some odd things too. But if you want to subscribe to our email, stupendousmarriage.com/subscribe. Totally free. You can always send us an email about your marriage at onair@stupendousmarriage.com. We love getting emails from you, and we really appreciate you reaching out and inviting us in to your relationship and allowing us to speak words that may enlighten your situation. Here is the email for today. Me and my husband have been talking about kids. We talked about kids before getting married. We got on the same page with things like how many and names, maybe even open to fostering kids. Now that we are more serious about it, we talked about jobs after kids. I don't want to work when we have children. I want to stay home and raise them instead of getting a babysitter or daycare. When they're young and at home, I want to be home too. He, on the other hand, says, I've got to work. He wants me back to work as soon as maternity leave is over. We work in the same place, don't make much money, even together. We talked about him getting a better job so I can stay home with the kids, and he gets mad and sarcastic and says maybe I should get a better job so he can stay home. He has work ethic and goes to work 40 hours a week, And I do too, so I don't want to say he's lazy, but I do see that what he does all day at work and his job allows him to play on his phone a lot and sit most of the day. He's told me in the past he doesn't want to quit for this reason. So it's not like I'm asking him to quit his dream job and goals just for me. I just wish he would want to work hard for me and our family since staying home with the kids is very important to me. There are other aspects of our relationship where I feel it's one-sided. He doesn't want to put much effort in. I understand in some situations women have to work, there's no option. Some women want to work and don't mind leaving their kids with a babysitter, putting them in daycare. Even dad's staying home, and that's perfectly fine, just not what I want to do. I feel he doesn't put much effort in our relationship as being selfish. Am I being selfish in wanting to stay home with our kids? Am I disrespecting my husband if I stay home anyways? And is it wrong for me to ask him to get a better job to support us? How do I explain it to him in a way where he doesn't get angry and overwhelmed, thinking he has to support us, even though I feel as the man he should? Thanks so much. Love you guys.
I don't know that I'm going to have a lot to say about this other than I want to go kick his tail. Now, we get our emails one-sided.
Yeah, we do.
But I really feel like he needs to grow up. I feel like there is some imbalance there, that he's being very selfish and very self-centered and not really thinking about his wife or his kids, because kiddos need their moms when they're little. I mean,
Sure.
when they're little, that mother, scientific research has been done that mother's voice, touch, attention speaks to a child in a way that nothing else can, especially when they're little.
Right.
And so for him to be being selfish and prideful and saying, I'm not going to go get a better job, you need to go back to work because we need the money, and seeing that her heart's desire is to be that mom that can stay home with her kiddos, really, it's like, "Urgh."
Yeah.
I'm sure you have something else to say as a man, though.
Well, I mean, I think bigger picture, I think that's a really good place to start. I think he is, obviously, I think this email needs to be coming from him, and he needs to be hearing our responses more than she does. Because I am with you. I do think that, if mom wants to stay home, I don't think there's a problem with that. Problem is communication. The problem is getting on the same page together. The problem is, will he take time to listen to your heart? And it doesn't sound like right now he is, and that's where the childish factor comes in. That does play into the fact that he hasn't decided that he's going to be dad and husband and provider in this season, while you can be mom and caregiver and nurturing like you're wanting to be, like God has designed you to be. Obviously, that is where your heart is. So you two are not hearing each other in this situation. So things that I would say, are you friends with your spouse? Is he friends with you? What I mean by that is, do we want to hurt our friends? Lisa and I are friends with one another first. We are intimate friends. Obviously, that's what makes our friendship a marriage and different from any other friendship we have. But I don't want to hurt my friend. And so I want to hear her heart first. I want to hear what is behind the thing that she wants to do in this situation. He is not hearing your heart, your dream, your desire. He's only hearing the surface thing. And Dr. John Gottman talks about this in his book, 7 Principles for Making Marriage Work. You've got to identify each other's dreams and humble yourself so you can have empathy for the other person. And he's not doing that, it doesn't sound like. But are you doing that for him too? So make sure that you are also being empathetic to him, asking him, well, why do you feel like I need to go back to work? Why are you wanting me to do this? Is there something deeper than just having a job where you don't have to do very much? You really need to hear his heart too, if it's more than what you've implied in this email. You have to be able to listen to each other's perspective.
So I do have things to say besides just kick his tail.
I'm sure.
So this is the deal. You have a choice right now. You guys don't have children yet. I'm assuming you're not pregnant yet. And so I would definitely pause on that until you are on the same page and you kind of work through this part of the journey. Because as parents, before we had our son, there are some things that we had to work through to be ready to have him.
Sure.
Then after we had him, we had something happen that was really interesting. When he was about 5 years old, I started having a desire to have a second child. It wasn't like, oh my goodness, I have to have one. But I started thinking about it a little bit more. And when you and I talked about it, you were very resistant and you were just like, I just don't feel that. Like, I can't imagine going back and having a little kiddo again, especially infant. I'd had a lot of complications in my pregnancy.
Yeah.
And with my age and everything, I remember you just were like, oh, I don't think so.
Right.
And we were in a weird place in our life work-wise
Sure.
and all those things. So what I did, and this is one of the things that I would definitely suggest, besides just pausing, not pushing the getting pregnant right away thing, is I would take a period if I was her and just really pray. And I would pray that the Lord would either change your heart or his heart. And that's what I did. I literally prayed like, Lord, okay, I have this desire to have a second child. My husband doesn't have that desire. I didn't pray like, so change him. I prayed, Lord, change my heart or change his heart. Change one of us so that we're on the same page, because parenthood is so hard anyways, just because you're dealing with a whole nother being who even though they look like a human, at times you don't feel like they're human. And so you don't want to go into it, if you can, with having a wrestling between you and your spouse about what's going on. And for us, what happened is in about 6 months, within a 6-month period, the Lord really changed my heart. I really felt like he spoke to me and said, for what I have for your son, he needs both of you fully. And even though you would love another child, that's not my plan for your life. And I have complete peace to this day about the fact we didn't have a second child. He brought me around to where my heart changed instead of yours. But now I don't have any resentment towards you about not having a second child, because it was the Lord that changed me, just like he could have just as easily changed you.
Oh, sure. It's getting in unity together and going to God first and not blaming the other person, not trying to force them to be something or force them into a hole that they're not designed to fit into. But you talked about having common ground issues that you guys have already talked about and agreed on. You got to remember, the top fights in marriage are money and sex and housework and stress and in-laws and kids, right? And so this one encompasses sex and stress and kids. So 3 of the 6
And
at
finances.
least. And finances, right? Yeah, so that's 4 of the 6 that are included in this whole thing. Now, the other thing that I thought is, you want to be mom, you want to stay at home. There are lots of ways to work from home while you are having kiddos. You might find something that you can do online. Find something in your community where you can take the kids with you. Find something where you can do something different and not go back to the work that you are in, where you're stuck in a building, but that offers you flexibility and freedom and kiddos to tag along with you. And there are tons of opportunities like that. We'll link to show notes. Dan Miller works in this area. It's called 48 Days to the Work You Love, and coming up with creative ideas to make money. And if I can find some specific either podcasts of his or articles of his for moms who are wanting to work or not wanting to work when the kids are little, I will link those in the show notes for this episode, because I think that also would be beneficial to you, because you might be thinking a little too narrow for yourself as well, because you're going to be super tired as a mom, but it might be a season of shifting it too, and God might grow you, and you still might be able to work a little bit and differently and still bring income and be able to offer that as some sort of option to your husband also that would be interesting to him possibly.
Your last question in here, you said, how do I explain it to him in a way where he doesn't get angry and overwhelmed? I think anytime we're having a challenging conversation in our marriage, timing is everything. And so really trying to find a time where he's not already aggravated with work or aggravated or tired would be a great time for you guys to sit down and then talk in a context of not trying to get him to come to your side, but trying to work with him in unity to be able to make a wise decision for your family. And I think you could definitely, by what you have said, is you guys have already had some really great conversations about kids. So if you start out the conversation with, hey, babe, I know we've been talking about getting pregnant, and I'm really excited about that, and we've had so many great conversations about it. I would love to continue to do that. And so it seems like we're at a place that this conversation has not been productive. I want to stay home and you don't want me to stay home, and we both are on different pages there. How about we together take a season of just praying to God to really bring us on the same page? And I'm willing to surrender wherever the Lord says. If the Lord says for me to go back to work, maybe in a different way, like you said, Stu, then I'd be willing to do it. If he says maybe you're supposed to get a job, if you would be willing to do it. So would you come alongside me instead of being facing against me like you do an opponent? Come beside me and let's look at the thing together. Like, okay, here's the scenario. We want to have kiddos. We're unsure about what needs to happen with our jobs after the kids come. It's not about me and you. It's about us together. And how do we decide what the Lord is telling is right for our family? And I think if you give that a season of prayer together, even if you're both praying independently, but you're both working towards the same goal of, you know what? We really just want to do what God wants us to do, and we're willing to surrender ourselves to whatever that may look like. I think the Lord's going to do the work in both of you, and I would love to hear how it turns out, because it's so interesting when we surrender things to Him, what He can end up doing and how different of a picture it is than what we often come up with in our heads.
Yeah, I just had this picture of a battlefield, and like you're on both sides of the battle fighting each other. And right now, that's kind of how it is. I'm not going to change my job. I'm going to stay home. And you're battling each other. And this fight is this thing between you.
Can we do that again? You start the battle again.
Okay. I want to stay at work.
I'm going to stay at work.
I want to stay at home.
Yes, right. So they're fighting each other across this battlefield line. And it's what I talked about first. A spirit of humility. We're supposed to be ministers of reconciliation in relationships. That's our calling, to stand in unity together as husband and wife. And so being humble enough to give it to God and talk about all the options, and both of you not standing strong in your own silos fighting one another, but turning together side by side, shoulder to shoulder, looking at this thing and going, God, we want this. I mean, obviously we're talking about this. How do we do this? How can we both be humble to make this happen and adjust and shift how we need to do it?
Last thought, I think it's amazing. The very beginning of your email, you say how you and your husband got on the same page with many things about having children, their names and how many you want to have, maybe possibly fostering. You know what? The Lord's got this. Like, He's already guided you guys, unified you guys in so many areas of this topic. And I just really, really believe if you go back to Him and instead of digging your heels in, get on your knees and just say, okay, God, what do you have for us as husband and wife and our future kiddos, that it's going to be really amazing.
We really appreciate your email. Thank you so much. If you want to send us an email, again, on air at stupendousmarriage.com. The new Stupendous Marriage line is 615-592-1060. And subscribe to our show in your favorite podcast app. Tell your friends, your married friends, about our show. We certainly appreciate hearing from new people who are listening to the show and finding the Stupendous Marriage Show. We love that. Do rate and review the show if you would in iTunes. That helps others find us and we become visible to other people who might be looking for marriage encouragement too.
We'll see you next time.
See ya.
Yeah.
Like the show? Like the show.
Yeehaw.
Share the podcast. Tell another couple.
Hold up. That's good. Well, we've had kind of a crazy week in our house already because we
got new toilets.
And
it is true. It is true. We were adulting. Well, I'll let you. Sorry. But now that we're more serious about it, we talked about. Now that we're more serious
about it, we talked about jobs after.
Now that we are more blah 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 blah.
Come and we wanna go home.
Okay, I'm gonna stay home.
But I want to stay home. Oh no, wait, I'm the stay-at-home person. You say I want to stay at work. You gotta do the different voices, babe. Come on now.
Okay.
Okay, let's start over. Yeah.
Like the show. Like the show. Share the podcast. Tell your married friends.